Alright, it's been 2 weeks since the last video. This is Dolly. 2 weeks later. This is what I fed her for breakfast yesterday. She got Sensi Bloom. I mixed this up. It makes 256 gallons of feed. And I ran it through the drip tape. As you can see, since the 4th of July, Dolly was around 100 pounds on the 4th of July. Maybe a little better than 100 pounds. Today she's estimating at 515 pounds. We use a tape measure and we have a measuring system. And we measure them. It's a pretty accurate chart. Some pumpkins go heavy, some go light, but I'll guarantee you that pumpkin's 500 pounds. She's doing about 34 pounds a day right now, has been for about a week. And she's cranking, she's a beauty. It's been, it's actually amazing because it's been the mid-90s in here every day. The Dolly, this is the plant. Here's the plant before the pumpkin. This is all right here, what's feeding Dolly. After the pumpkin's not really feeding her at this point. But Dolly likes, she likes the Bellamy Brothers, the Redneck Girl songs. And she also likes, bathing in the sun, although we do keep a sheet on top of them so the sun doesn't ripen them. Dolly likes, she likes all kinds of music, but she doesn't like anything by Smashing Pumpkins. She despises that. And every time I see this, I think of what's the first thing that Adam said to Eve on the day they first met. He said, "Stand back, I don't know how big this thing's going to get." And this pumpkin reminds me of that every time I look at it. It's like, oh my God. This thing's grown 515 pounds. It's day 30. The pumpkin's 30 days old. These things can grow up to 120 days. It's got till early October, possibly mid-October to grow yet. Alright, so that's Dolly. We'll move along. Down here is Tiny. This is Tiny Stelts. Day 21 on Tiny Stelts. She's probably about a buck, I don't know, maybe a buck 30, buck 40. Maybe knocking on the door of a buck 50. See how I have the vine? The vine's elevated on the stem so she doesn't break off the stem as she grows. And this is the 1495 Stelts plant right here. We're looking pretty good. They like the Great White and the advanced nutrients. They're loving it. Now here's the 2009 Wallace. I named this one Wallietta. This is from the world record. The 2009 one-ton pumpkin, the first one ever grown last year in 2012. You see here I got the vine supported up with these pool noodles. What do they call these noodles? I've got the vine supported up so the stem doesn't bend. You got to keep the vine elevated so as the pumpkin grows up it doesn't tweak down and snap off and kink up and bind. But there's the tape we use for measuring the pumpkins. It's a 3 measurement system and we add them up and there's a chart. The chart's very accurate. And anyways, this is the plant. If you remember from 2 weeks ago how big it was, we'll scan it again. There's the main vine out there touching the screen. That's let's get that. There's the main vine. It's out there touching the corner. That's the main vine. We'll keep that growing because I believe if you keep the main vine growing, the root system's more aggressive. It'll reach out and keep growing quicker. Once you sever that main vine, you're going to slow down your root system. That's just my theory, but that's my story and I'm sticking to it. And this is all the 2009 Wallace. Big, beautiful plant. She's not stressed out at all. The Dolly's plant's a little stressed out because it's putting so much into that fruit right now. And in the heat, the leaves are a little stressed, but it'll be all right. I ordered her some Xanax. It'll be here soon. So, ordered a barrel for myself. Anyways, here's the 5.5 Marv. Now I started my tomatoes late, so if you wonder why the plants are small, some of these plants I started late because the weigh-offs are the end of September and mid-October. You don't want to be trying to keep a tomato. You know, you got to pick tomatoes when they're green. Once they start turning red, they're done. They're not going to get any bigger. So you pick them at that point wrap them up, stick them in the fridge in an airtight container, and they'll keep for a month. But I don't know about longer than a month. If you go longer than a month, they're going to start to mold. So we start late, because I like to take my stuff to the weigh-offs. Alright, we're leaving the Kin Cave. This is the Kin Cave. Say bye-bye, Dolly. You grow, girl. We're heading out here, and I'm going to take you back to the melon cage. The melon cage, we were here on July 4th. That's been exactly 2 weeks. We have a new feller here. There's the 221 Clements. He's got a watermelon under that roof about the size of a, oh, God, she's getting close to a gallon jug, ain't she? They love this. The watermelons love this heat. We're in the mid-90s, humid as hell. They love it. So these are the Melon Sisters. And that's the 221 Clements. That watermelon's only probably 10 days old. And this one right here, this watermelon's probably about a week old. This is on the 255 Mitchell, a grafted plant. And that's about, you can see how big it is. About as long as my hand. I don't know, it's a couple pounds maybe. But look at these luscious plants. They've taken off in this heat. I've got the weed barrier down like, this is the same patch you saw 2 weeks ago. And we'll walk over here and see this one. This watermelon I'm going to show you right now was as big as my thumb. Maybe a little small prescription bottle, maybe. When I showed it to you on the video 2 weeks ago today. Alright, here she is now. Alright, with my hand on it. So that watermelon's grown quite a bit. I'm going to say that watermelon's probably, I don't know, 15 to 20 pounds. Now it'll really start trucking. It'll really start trucking. I keep the cloth on it, keep the sun off it. The sun ripens it. We don't need that. Anyways, here's the watermelon cage. Now I'll take you out, show you the rest of the garden. Here's my stereo. I play music to the veggies. It's proven scientific fact. The musical tones stimulates plant growth. They love Alice Cooper, and so do I. Alright, here's the tomatoes. My tomatoes are also, you look at them and go, oh, the plants are small. Yes, they are. I planted them late. These tomato plants weren't started until, God, I'm thinking around the middle of May. They're only 2 months old. That's not very old, really. They're not even, I don't think they're that old. I think it might have been later than that I started them. Same with the sunflowers. I start them late because I don't want them. They're basically a wall, kind of out of sight, out of mind on the greenhouses. You know, you always worry about a 12-year-old smashing your pumpkins. Well, just for laughs and giggles. So those sunflowers are probably, here's my row of them. And here's my sign. I just got to warn them. I had, one year I found a guy out here, a mentally handicapped guy. He was cutting my pumpkins off the plants. That was before I had the greenhouses. And I asked him what he was doing. He said he was picking these squash. And I said, those squash are my prize fruit. I'm taking to the Michigan State Fair. This was back in like 1998. And this guy was mentally challenged, so I didn't kill him. But anyways, I had to put a sign up so people know, no trespassing. If you can read this, you're in range. Some people tell me that's not very friendly, but hey, you know what? It's not very friendly to find somebody cutting your prize pumpkins off in your patch either. So you got to do what you got to do. They've been warned. Anyways, here's my regular garden. Some cucumbers for the family. Some, here's my squash, man. They like, I gave them a little bit of voodoo juice, and they like the nutrients. You can see they're pretty perky. But I don't use any insecticides or anything on them because I kind of like to eat something that I know has not been stained. So they may not last a long time because the bugs will probably get them eventually. Green peppers. Anyways, we'll come out here. Here's the cantaloupe. I got my giant cantaloupe, the 50-pound share. Josh Share from Ohio. There's his plant. This is the 56.7 Livers, Alan Livers from Kentucky. This came from the Kentucky State Record cantaloupe, 56.7 pounds. She's doing good. I started these real late. I didn't start these until June, early June. Here's a 2,009-pound world record field pumpkin. I'm sorry, 209 pound. 209 pound, just coincidentally. Almost as Almost the same weight as the 2009 world record. We have a 209-pound world record field pumpkin that Quinn Werner grew in Ohio. Or I'm sorry, Pennsylvania. He lives right on the border. That plant there is very young. Didn't start it till June because I'm shooting for that October 13th way off. Here's another one, Ron Barker from Washington State. This is his 140-pound pumpkin, field pumpkin, unofficial. He found it growing wild at the end of the season. It never made it to a way off. But Ron's a good friend of mine, lives out in Washington State. And here, last but not least, my longboards. I've never grown longboards before. My first attempt, and I love them. They are cool beans. Look at this, man. This is like, they look like giant string beans, and they got awesome colors on them. Look at these things. They're like, oh, they got to be 4.5 feet long now. Maybe pushing 5 feet. If you get a close-up, if the sun's not too blinding, they got some awesome color. It's like a molted color on them, but I think I'm going to name those Stretch and Slim. That one on the right, Stretch, and the other one, Slim. And then over here, the 125 Peter Sweet from Rhode Island. Peter Sweet grew a 125 last year. He was a Master Gardener Award, which is, I'm shooting for that award this year. And this is his plant. And if you see there, I got a longboard in there that's all curly. And I think I'll name this one Curly. Look at that, it's all curled up in there. But these longboards are awesome. Talk about beauty. They're a beautiful thing. And I built this out of just some scrap lumber. It's a jungle gym up in there, the neighbor's jungle gym ropes laying in there sideways they're hanging on. And over there is a railing system I took out of a 100 and probably 40-year-old farmhouse that was built about the time Lincoln was president. I took that railing out of that house and put them in a brand new railing because I'm a carpenter. And anyways, alright, our video's about coming to an end. The Ken Cave 2 here, it's not doing so well. My squash and pumpkin plant in there, they're really going slow this year. I may be about ready to just discontinue this greenhouse and throw weed barrier in there and just keep it watered, because all these other roots out here will be growing underneath that greenhouse. The roots go everywhere, so you got to keep everything watered. This is my sign. Keep out, violators will be next year's pumpkins. And no smoking. Smoking can carry a virus. A mosaic virus is carried in tobacco, the tobacco mosaic virus. So I don't like smoking in my garden. Sorry you smokers. But leave your butts in your vehicles and don't touch my plants. Alright, have a good day. We'll see you again in 2 more weeks. We'll make another video.